Hey there, it's Christine here, and I'm in Central Oregon, and it's about 95 degrees right now, especially with the studio off since the air conditioning is super noisy. But welcome to my live event, and I'm going to be looking at the chat box to see if anybody has any questions or comments. So, first, if you haven't ever met me before, hey, I'm Christine, and I'm a naturalist, environmental educator, and visual artist here in Southern Oregon. In case there's no live questions, at least not right away, I've got a page of pre submitted questions because I did tell my audience I was going live today. And so I've got some pre submitted questions here. There's a comment in the comment box there. It says, "Where was the cover shot taken?" So that I guess you probably mean the YouTube thumbnail of me next to the ocean, and that was such an amazing trip. That was up in Alaska. I love Alaska. I've actually been all over the world, but Alaska is one of my favorite places, and that was taken on the Pribilof Islands. And so really remote on the very western edge, just a stone's throw from Russia. And I was sketching some puffins. It's a breeding area for puffins, and there are also a lot of cool marine mammals and auklets and murres and all kinds of stuff. It's just a bird watcher's paradise. And so I actually got my start nature sketching because I'm a bird watcher. I've been an artist all my life, but really hadn't been practicing trying to draw from life outdoors until I became a bird watcher. And I was trying to learn the birds and help guide tours like the one I was on in Alaska in that photo that Trenton asked me about. Hi, Trenton. And so, there's over 10,000, 11,000 birds in the world. And so it's really difficult to learn them unless you look at them long enough to draw them. Some people just raise their binoculars and say, "Oh, yeah, I got that bird. I saw it," and put it on their checklist. But for me to be able to learn how to identify a bird, it really helps to put the time in to draw it. And then you're really actively focused on it and learning its field marks and noticing its size and coloration and the length of its bill and the shape of its wings and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, we do have some live viewers coming on again. So yeah, another pre-submitted question I had here was, how did I get started on YouTube? And actually, just last month, YouTube reminded me that it was my 10-year anniversary. So I've been on YouTube for about 10 years. I didn't really take it seriously at first, and I only actually have a few thousand subscribers, and that's okay. I don't mind. But I started going live more, of course, during the pandemic. And you guys all know what that was like. We were stuck indoors, and I already knew a little bit about how to film, and I had a microphone here and some lights. So I thought, why don't I just entertain myself and those around me too by going live and sharing what I know about nature and having people draw with me. And so some of those were on YouTube, but others were on live streaming apps like Crowdcast or StreamYard. But I got a global audience. It was so fun to have families and kids of all ages and teachers and educators and grandparents watching and drawing along with me. So I was drawing everything from microscopic tardigrades in the soil to teaching people how to draw leopards and lions and zebras and whales and sharks and bats and everything in the world. So got a lot of experience going live and teaching, and that's how I kind of built an audience and actually built this business I have. So it's not just a hobby, my nature sketching and journaling, but it is a business. And so, yeah, that's how I got started on YouTube. I'm not monetized or anything, and I don't promote any projects or products. I just talk about nature, and also my courses and membership, which I actually have a membership. It's a nature sketching and journaling membership. And I am promoting it right now because summer is a great time to get outdoors, especially as it starts to cool down, which actually it's only 90 degrees today. I'm looking at my computer monitor and it has been as high as 105. So it is kind of cooling down. So as fall approaches, it's really nice to get outdoors. And I am having a special promotion. And there is a link down below, I think, or maybe I can put a link in the chat box here to my program. It's the Nature Notebook Club. And so I'm having a special promotion. If you join today before 9 p.m. tonight, which is about 4 hours from now, I will send you my art kit. And this is filled with my best resources and also my favorite paints, Daniel Smith paints and brushes and everything I use in the field to help folks get started nature journaling. Let's see. Yeah, Trenton asked teaching through a podcast. Yeah, so I never podcasted, but I guess this could be thought of as podcasting. A lot of YouTube videos are podcasts now. So yeah, I've just been teaching forever. And I actually used to teach in national parks and state parks and local environmental organizations. So I was ready when the pandemic hit to start teaching online. But in the last few years, I've really enjoyed teaching in person too. And I love that balance. And I've got some kids and adult classes here in Southern Oregon I've been teaching. And so it is really fun to be able to see people in person, you know, their sketches and paintings, and just see the joy on their face when they realize they can draw something and learn about it at the same time. Actually today, I was teaching online. I was teaching about succulent plants because I love plants and I also love like weird things. I've got this Venus flytrap. I studied carnivorous plants actually in college. So I tend to be attracted to kind of weird and odd things, the underdogs of the animal and plant world. Yeah, I was teaching about succulents, and I have quite a big succulent collection, including this weird euphorbia from Africa. But anyway, today I was teaching online and we were drawing this hens and chicks, which is a kind of succulent you might be familiar with if you have a garden. They're very common in gardening stores. And again, summer is a great time to be drawing and sketching, whether it's indoors like today where it's kind of hot and I brought my plants indoors, or whether it's outdoors at a park or botanical garden or that kind of thing. And people often ask me, you know, how do I get better at drawing? And really, it's just practice. And my focus really isn't on always creating a beautiful picture. It's on learning about your subject as you're drawing it. So even today, I did 2 versions of the succulent plant. And this was my first one. Looks good enough. But when you compare it to my second one that has a lot more highlights and shadows, that's a lot more realistic. You know, and I've been drawing my whole life since I was drawing horses in 3rd grade because I wanted a horse. So even I can improve with drawing something over and over again. And so, yeah, that was another pre-submitted question, is just how do you get better drawing? And really, you can draw anything. You just need 2 things. You need practice. And that's really when you're observing something. The more you're observing something, the more you understand, like these guys, their shape and colors and patterns and textures. The more familiar you are with something, the more you can draw something with ease and confidence and skill. So that's one thing, just the time spent. And really, it doesn't take 20,000 hours. There is a famous YouTube video that says to master something, you have to put in 20,000 hours. But I would say more like 20 hours. It would be totally adequate to be able to learn to do the basics of drawing and painting, especially the kind of painting and drawing I do, which is focused on really nature journaling out in the field, which is a bit more casual. And so, how to draw anything, it's about practice, just putting in that time. And then, second, just learning about the organism. So, the more you know about something, as I said, the more you'll understand its three-dimensional form. Oh, I think I watered this one a little bit too much. It's a little bit mushy. I better take this back out to get some more sun. Okay. Anyway, so again, I'm here live. Mainly, I'm here today because I am promoting my nature journaling program, which is a monthly membership that you can just check out for a month. And if you don't like it, you can cancel and I'll give you your money back, or you can stay for as many months or years as you want. I started this program actually last July, and so I've been having it for about 13 months. And many of my members who started with me those first weeks when I launched my program are still with me, and I am so grateful. They're really continuing to enjoy the program. It has a whole library of video tutorials on nature sketching and journaling and drawing. And then we have live events every month. Like next week is our member meetup. And the second Sunday of every month is our master class. So that's where I go really deep on a particular subject, often subjects that my paying members suggest. Like this month, it was drawing in perspective, because that's kind of hard, especially doing landscapes and doing that in perspective. Okay, and then let's see. Let me look at the chat box, see if there's any other questions. And again, if you joined today, and I'm looking here if I got any new joiners, you're going to get this. I'm going to send this to you in the mail. And I started this concept a few months ago, back when we did our watercolor challenge inside the membership for July's World Watercolor Month. And I sent people these packets full of watercolors. So this is kind of the same thing, but it also has some more of my favorite handouts and a pencil and a pen. And I'll send these anywhere in the world. They're really valued at about $25, especially because I use high quality paints. And those are Daniel Smith paints, which are actually made right here in the Pacific Northwest, Daniel Smith. And I really started to love these a few months ago when I moved to this area and had access to a wonderful local art store that is fully stocked with all kinds of art supplies, including a full range of Daniel Smith paints. And they actually had a guest speaker from Daniel Smith Company come and give us a whole talk and a workshop on how special these paints are. Each color is made from a single pigment from a single location that is collected and then ground and then turned into paint at their facility in Seattle. So we're actually lucky to have several watercolor paint companies in the Pacific Northwest that I really love. So let me see. What was I gonna? I'm looking at some other. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. So don't be shy. Ask questions. I'm looking at my various social media to see if there's other questions. And so, yeah, we covered why I got started on YouTube. And let's see. Yeah. And, the reason I go live and I talk so much about my programs is partly because of my business coach. I do have a business coach because this is a business, my teaching. As much as I love it, I do rely on it for my income. And that also keeps me focused on it. But my business coach said something really wise. He said, if you had the cure to cancer, wouldn't you shout it from the rooftops because you really believed in its value to help people? And I'd be like, well, of course I would. And so that's the same thing for my programs. And I think that's one reason most of my members have stayed with me for this whole year since I started my monthly membership. And again, did I put a link? Where is it? Oh, yeah, I did put a link in the chat box to that. It's christineelder.com/membership. And so, yeah, I'm not a very good marketer. I feel like I'd much rather be teaching like this hour right now than telling you about my programs. I'm not a fancy marketer. I don't have a fancy website. I can't afford a fancy studio, but I do love teaching. And I think most people believe that I teach really high quality, interesting subjects. So like just in the last few months, since I've moved to a different part of Oregon, I found so many different cool plants and animals to teach my students about, including cool things right here in my own backyard, like jumping spiders, and like this weird toxic plant that actually got a rash on my hand for the last 4 months. And these beautiful irises and lilies, and orchids, and of course, all the wildflowers we had this spring. So I really love to teach students about, what's blooming and what's living in my local environment, like the deer and the turkeys. We've got lots of wild turkeys here in Southern Oregon, which is a little bit different than where I was living in Central Oregon. And I always do a turkey drawing activity during Thanksgiving to honor the wild turkey because they have a really interesting history. Okay, so I'm going to look again at my list, see who's asking more questions. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So how did I get started drawing, and why am I so passionate about sharing it with people? Well, like a lot of little girls growing up, I wanted a horse. And so before I got a horse, all I could do were draw them. And so I drew and drew and drew lots of horses. And I finally got a horse in 5th grade. So I always liked drawing, but I didn't really get realistic with it. I was doing a lot of other crafts like sewing and pottery and making sand castles. Any of you guys remember? If you're my age, you might remember making sand castles in the sand and pouring the wax in and having your own little wick. That was so fun. So I had a lot of crafts that I did. But once I got into college, I was studying biology, and I actually have a master's degree in biology as well as a graduate certificate in scientific illustration. But once I was in college, it got a lot harder for me. I always loved school, but it was really hard because I kind of have ADHD and I've actually been diagnosed. And so I'm kind of all over the place. I have a hard time focusing and learning things. And I found that when I was in my biology classes, especially like when we had to dissect the pig or the shark like they used to do, or we had to look under the microscope at different types of cells, I would just draw all those things and I would color code them and make tons of notes. Or especially in mammalogy class, when we had to learn how to identify individual animals by just their skulls and their teeth, or their arm bones, just like an anthropologist or paleontologist would do. And so I really learned the value of drawing something. And when you're right there, in the moment with your colors and your pencils and your pens, and you're actively engaged in the learning process, not just watching a lecture or reading a book, but really having your hand on the paper and drawing. That's what got me through school and got me good grades and got me graduated. So I've always been really passionate about the act of actively drawing and journaling in order to be really in the moment and to learn and to focus. And nowadays we are so unfocused, whether it's our phones or the news with all the terrible headlines, that we get really scattered. And I find that when I spend time to just sit outside and draw or sketch or paint, that is just so relaxing. And I learn a lot about the thing I draw, like the jumping spiders I discovered here in Southern Oregon. They don't live in Central Oregon, and they live all over in the eaves of my house. And they're really gentle. And we drew them one day with my students under the magnifying glass, and I learned so much about them. And so, and kids too. I love teaching kids, and I love teaching parents and grandparents. I mean, almost anybody alive has a child in their life and has noticed nowadays how hard life is for kids, how stressed out they are, how high the suicide rate is, how addicted they are to their devices. And so I always find that when I get to teach kids, especially live, like I did last month, I did a whole summer camp themed with Shark Week. They were so active and engaged and right there in the moment, drawing beautiful drawings, even the 8-year-olds. And they didn't get their phones out once. So I really love to teach adults and help them to bring the youth in their lives into that practice. And it's a really fun bonding experience too, when you can bring your child or your grandchild or niece or nephew, or maybe you are an environmental educator. A lot of my members are either teachers or retired teachers or grandparents or environmental educators. Some of them are docents, and they give hikes, and they like to be able to incorporate what they learn in my classes with the people they lead on their nature hikes and kids. So that just really warms my heart. I really love that. Let me see. I'm looking at the list here, looking here at the, speaking of social media, I'm just seeing who is asking questions. Now, again, if you join the Nature Notebook Club today, it's only $34 and it's totally refundable. So there's no risk. You get one of these art kits that I developed and designed and made on my own. I'll send these to you snail mail. So, there's really no reason not to trust me. A lot of people watching this live or replay maybe just found this in their feed. They have no idea who I am. But many of you have been following me since even before the pandemic. Like today, I talked to a student. She'd been following me since 2019, and she joined the program. And so people do trust me because I've taught hundreds of workshops, and I have many courses as well as my membership. Oh, yeah, that was a question. What's the difference between my courses and my memberships? So when I was teaching nature sketching and wildlife education during the pandemic, a lot of that content, I wanted it to go to something other than just the cloud as a live event. And so I repurposed a lot of those classes and I turned them into individual courses. So I actually have courses on drawing fish, amphibians, and reptiles, birds, and mammals. But I'm really not promoting those anymore. I'm leaving that platform. And in truth, people aren't that interested in just a standalone course. How many courses have you ever bought online and you never started them, let alone finish them? Just a second. It's getting really hot in here because I had to turn off the electricity. Turn off the mini split. So yeah, people are not really consuming courses anymore. And so that's one reason I started the membership. So the membership is a lot better price point because, once you commit, I feel like you probably are going to stay for a while. And so it's easier for you to afford that small monthly payment. Just like when you get a car loan or you join the gym, you have a small monthly payment, but you get content every month. And so in my membership, there's not only a library of content that you can access on your own based on your interests, like my potential student who joined today, her weakness was watercolors. And I said, I have a whole unit on watercolors. I'll get you started. But The wonderful part of my membership is the members. And so the membership has a community page. It's almost kind of like a private Facebook group where members can post what they're seeing in nature or what they're sketching. Like recently, we've been talking a lot about Shadow and Jackie. If you know, you know. But people post they've seen a wildflower, or some lady recently, one of my members saw a bear, and their sketches from their homework. So it is an active living community. And that's why I started it, is because I found this platform that is able to host these kind of live communities where there's the private group that you can participate in, as well as our ongoing tips every week and our monthly master classes and our Zoom calls. We have a member meetup at the end of every month to chat about what we've seen in nature and what we've learned in the program. And and so again, if you join my program, even if you just stay for a month, although I hope you'll stay longer, you will get my kit that I designed. So there is a link in the chat box, and I think a link below the video, christineelder.com/membership. So I do see some people watching live. Do you have any questions? Please just put them in that chat box here and I will answer them. Again, anything about nature or art or creativity or getting unstuck or anything like that. Let me see. I got a question. Oh, here's a funny question. I love this question. They're asking, how come you're always wearing the same clothes? So I love this happy dress. It's all flowery and it reminds me of summer. And if you watch my videos or my lives or see me on social media, I'm often wearing just like one of like 10 different shirts I have. And that's a really good question. It's not because I'm poor. It's because I am a minimalist. I'm actually an extreme minimalist. And I could actually start a whole YouTube channel on minimalism if I wanted to, but it's not something I generally talk a lot about. But I got this question, so I thought it was kind of cute. And I do have really favorite things I wear and I own, and it is really so freeing. The reason I became a minimalist was not really the happiest reason, but it was the best reason in the end. My longtime partner and I broke up. And I ended up selling my home and moving to a smaller place and then downsizing even more. And now I just live in a granny unit with this extra studio for all my art stuff. So I love being a minimalist. It's a lot less expensive. And so I can use that money to travel. I love traveling. I've been to about 15 to 20 countries. And so if you're not spending a lot of money on rent and clothing and furnishing and then maintaining and repairing all that junk you own, you can spend it on travel. And I find that I'd rather have memories of travel and doing interesting things than just owning stuff that you have to worry about. And of course, we've got so many wildfires nowadays. People are losing their homes. I've had people evacuated. In fact, right now, today, I've got a friend evacuated in Reno from that big fire. So you could lose everything in an instant. You could lose everything you own. And all you have left, if you're lucky to survive, are your memories and your experiences. So anyway, that's why I'm a minimalist, because I just love a simple lifestyle. I don't like to have a lot of expenses. I don't like to own a lot of things. I'm even a minimalist when it comes to my art. And so let me try to find it here. This little packet is generally all I take with me in the field, even on international trips. And I have led international nature sketching and wildlife tours before, places like Mexico, Honduras, Costa Rica. And, I have this larger palette too that doesn't quite fit in here, but this has a lot of my favorite colors. And then this has all my supplies, just a few different brushes and pens and pencils, and a few smaller palettes that I can choose from for painting. So I like to keep things really minimalist too, because it's just cheaper that way. There's fewer things to keep track of, and it's just easier. And sometimes I do take a backup with me when I'm traveling, because if my like checked luggage got lost, or if I left something at a certain area and I went to a new area. So I do usually take a couple of these, one in my carry-on luggage so that I can sketch and paint in the plane, and one in my checked luggage. Oh, let's see. Debbie said, I would love to join and support you, but too high a monthly price point for me right now. Also, I hesitate doing monthly subscriptions. I totally get it. And let me chat about that. So I know expenses have gone up, and my expenses have gone up too. And that's one of the reasons that the price has gone up, is because everything I do to host my classes and to promote them is costing more money every month. So my monthly business expenses are about $600 a month for just that. But also, if you think of my current price is $34 a month, and there's no long-term commitment. You can check it out for 30 days. And if you don't like it, you can quit. But there really isn't any other entertainment or something that's as fulfilling in your life that's as cheap of a price point. So for $34, you can barely take 1 or 2 yoga classes. For $34, you can barely buy a book or buy a bouquet of flowers or go out to lunch with a friend. So, when you're looking at your budget, you can kind of think of that entertainment budget is things like, going traveling or buying an art class. In-person art class is always going to be costing more than $34, and that's just for an hour or two. So everybody's got some sort of budget for entertainment. So you might consider it. Also, you could consider it under your budget of self-care and wellness. And really, I think of the art part is the gateway drug, really, to learning about nature. So, my classes aren't just about art skills. I mean, you could easily learn those online from anybody. But the unique thing about my membership is my 30 plus years of experience as a field biologist, environmental educator, wildlife educator, naturalist. And so every month, we're talking about different plants and animals, going live, having lessons. Like today, we did the succulents here that my members got to be in. So that's what I would say, Debbie. But I totally understand. I've been cutting things out and deciding what I really value. And, we always keep what we value. Like we probably have a lot of expenses. If you look at your credit card, there might be things you never use. You might have forgotten about some subscription to Netflix or something else. And then, another question is, I hesitate about doing monthly subscriptions. So people are, for one, hesitant about, the payment process and if it's safe or not. And my program uses Stripe. And it doesn't go through actually me. It goes through the platform that I use, which is Membership.io, which is internationally recognized, and Stripe is globally recognized too. And then people also are afraid of a monthly subscription because they think they're going to get locked into something. And, a lot of people have gotten locked into memberships, like maybe their gym membership. You think you're getting in there monthly, but they give you this huge fee for canceling if you stay less than a year. So you've probably heard these horror stories. And I, make it really easy to cancel. In fact, when you join and go on to my club page, the first homepage, there's a first group of videos about getting started in the program. And one of the first videos is how to cancel your membership. I mean, nobody does that because nobody is as confident in their program as I am. So you can just watch that couple-minute video. It takes like 3 clicks and you can cancel, or I can cancel for you. And so that's one thing. You are afraid of monthly recurring expenses and the payment processor, but also people think, oh, I'm going to just buy something and forget about it. I'll never use it. It won't be worth it. And so I'm glad you brought that up, Debbie, because you don't forget about my program. I contact people weekly with weekly tips. I have monthly master classes and our monthly meetup. And then we're always in the community posting, and those posts I can share to the whole community of all my members. So you're not going to forget about it. You'll probably hear from me more than you want to. And you could turn off those notifications if you want. But so yeah, the payment processing is totally safe. And the monthly, you're not going to forget about it. And again, you know, if people really look at their budget, and like I said, I'm a minimalist, so I have a really detailed budget. I look at it all the time. I've got an Excel spreadsheet here on my second monitor that I check every couple days to make sure, you know, what kind of expense is coming up. And I know exactly my monthly expenses, and I know exactly where every dollar is going and if I have any left over. So like, yeah, like for example, Netflix. I wasn't using Netflix. I mainly just watch my favorite shows on YouTube, and that's for free. So I canceled, you know, the $20 Netflix, and there all of a sudden I have $20 more. And so it's really easy to find room in your budget for things that you want, right? So you have to want it, and that's another thing. Why would you want it? You know, why would you want to have a practice of getting outdoors and nature sketching and journaling? And, you know, there's some really important reasons that relate to physical and mental health and healthcare and self-care. That's why I said, you know, when you're thinking about your budget and if you can afford it, put this membership in the pie of your budget under self-care and healthcare, because it really is healthier. You know, when you have a reason to get outside, if there's an idea like one of my homework assignments, or, you know, we're talking about a certain kind of plant or animal in the group, or you've watched one of my videos and it has a certain topic, then that gives you some structure. And it always helps if you have structure to get you outside more. And, you know, there's lots of mental and physical benefits. And so, yeah, in fact, in terms of getting outside, it's actually getting hotter in here than it is outside, because I did have to turn off my mini split to do this live. So I think we've answered just about all the submitted questions I wrote down and the ones online. So yeah, there's absolutely no risk if you want to join me inside the membership, and I won't make you feel guilty if you end up canceling, but you can just join for a month. And at the end of the month, you know, you can just put a note on your calendar like, hey, if I'm not loving this, I'm going to contact Christine and I'll just cancel. And my feelings won't be hurt. It'll be fine. I've got plenty of members that are totally happy and they fulfill me and we all fulfill each other. So anyway, I hope that answered your question in the comments there. Okay, well, I'm going to get going because I'm turning red because it's getting like 100 degrees in here. Thank you so much for joining me today, whether you've been following me since I started this journey on YouTube 10 years ago, or you're brand new to my world. Check out my other videos. I've got tons of videos and tons of playlists, including my 10-minute casual nature sketching tips and various playlists on drawing plants and animals and journaling and painting and all that. Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, totally understand. Good, totally understand. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you inside the membership. Remember, if you join today, you'll get my art kit filled with wonderful paints from Daniel Smith. Okay, take care. See you later. Bye.